one other point I'd like to make, since it's sort of all-encompassing. And this has to do with the Snowden disclosures. I believe, and this is totally subjective, that Senator Ron Wyden, member of the Intelligence Committee, had proceeded on a path that was reasonably likely, within a matter of months, to produce the disclosure of the bulk collection of domestic communications that was one part of Mr. Snowden's disclosure, and that was the one that has been the focus of the legislation to fix the problem, where there was the broadest public outcry. What Senator Wyden did was to artfully, or devilishly from another point of view, create a question in a public hearing for the Director of National Intelligence, General James Clapper, about the collection of intelligence on Americans. That resulted in Director Clapper making a false statement, knowingly making a false statement. And that, I believe, would have given Senator Wyden the leverage to be able to pry out that disclosure of that program. But that was preempted by Mr. Snowden, who decided that he needed not only to expose that program, but far many other programs that he felt were unfair to the privacy of citizens throughout the world. And that's something that he did. And what's fascinating this past weekend, and this is time specific, we're talking about the first week of July in 2014, but the Washington Post had a big story on Sunday which laid out in great detail what Snowden provided to the reporters. That was the raw text of emails collected by NSA. The stories were about foreigners. And in the course of the story, the reporters say that Mr. Snowden delivered this material to the reporters on the understanding that they would take this material to the intelligence community, have the intelligence community review it and edit it, and advise the reporters what could be risk people's lives, risk operations that were legitimate intelligence operations. And the paper says, yes, based on that feedback from the intelligence community, we are not publishing parts of the information that Snowden gave us. First of all, that speaks to the motives of Mr. Snowden. He does appear to have wanted, with this information, to not have it released wholesale, in comparison, say, to the WikiLeaks disclosures. But second, that it reflects the role of the press in all of this, and that the press really has a terrible responsibility to be able to find that line between what is necessary for the public to know to make policy, to express opinions on policy, and for a broad range of lawmakers to know, and what's necessary to be kept secret, even though they know it, even though they have that information, even though it might be fascinating and might sell newspapers tremendously if they were able to publish it, but because it's so dramatic, but they're going to keep it secret because the government has made its case. We shouldn't have to depend on that kind of secrets. It should be possible for the Senator Wydens of this world, who are on the Intelligence Committee, to be able to pry out the information that's necessary for Americans, particularly when it involves constitutional rights, have that information properly debated. And that gets to one other reform that I think is necessary, and that is with respect to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. I played a role in the 1970s in writing the legislation that created that court. And the fact that the court today has essentially the function of making advisory opinions regarding programs of surveillance. I believe that one of the proposed reforms that's vitally necessary is to open that process so that there is a way that the court can hear not just from the government and not just from its own expert staff, which I believe, based on reading recent declassified opinions, is pretty good staff, but that there has to be another way for a different point of view, different analysis of the constitutional issues and how they interplay with this extraordinarily complex technology, to have that considered by the court. There are various proposals in the Congress right now. I hope that some version of that comes through, because the court truly needs to have another analysis of these extraordinary capabilities to intrude into privacy that are difficult to manage.